Okay, team, let's get started. I want to make the most of our time today because we have an exciting call that is happening later on this evening. So we're going to do our best to make sure that we end at 9 o'clock. Adam says, grateful for generosity within people and myself and friends, of course. It's so important to remember the things that we are grateful for. I think it's very easy for us as humans, I'm not saying as investors, but as humans, we sometimes take for granted the really small things that keep us going, and they're the reason as to why we're here. Even though I know that we're in a state of abundance, and this is what we're going to be talking about in today's training session, is actually, you know, understanding the areas that you are consistently grateful for and the things that are pushing you through, because that's going to ensure that you maintain a good investor psychology throughout your investment journey. And your investment journey is not a get rich quick thing. Your investment journey is not in and out with the bag in a month or a year. The investment journey is one that you have started but should now stay with you for the rest of your life. Yes or yes? Does that make sense? Who knows now? I know for some of our newbies on the call, we've got some guys. Can we just give some love, throw some sevens in the chat for some of our new Trade Creatives members who aren't necessarily day traders in IM, but are part of our Hyperfund and our PLCU platforms, our fellow investors. So we welcome you, we say hello, and we love that you are on our Trader Psychology Sunday Scrum team call, because this is where the most important training happens. It's all very well and good putting your money into something and hoping for the best, but actually what happens in the mind? And this is where we come together and we, unite over these shared feelings, because investing is a process. Investing is a skill that has to be learned. OG Katie says investing is absolutely a long-term practice and a mindset. There's something very philosophical about the art of investing and the act of investing. And I can't wait to dive into today's session, where we're talking about appetite for risk. Appetite for risk. So my first question today for you all is, what is your appetite for risk? And on these calls, we love to be super open with each other. This is our space to come together and really hit the feels, because we're all in it together, and investing can feel like a really lonely space. But luckily in this community, we're never alone, right? So I want you to scale yourself out of 10. What is your appetite for risk? What is your appetite for risk? If you're quite risk averse and quite conservative, that's cool. Feel free to put a 3 or maybe a 5. If you're a 10 and you're hardcore, you don't mind chucking it all away, that's cool. You can be a 10 with your chest. Okay, interesting. Katie says that she thinks she's average a 4 or a 5. Becky's a 4. That's super interesting. Throw some more at me, guys. Throw some more numbers at me. Let me just say really hello to everyone on the call. We got Tella. What is up, Tella, our social media queen on the call. We got Chinyere. How are you doing? We got Desi on the call and Gemma. Good to see you. We got James on the call. Katie, Maya, the girl on fire. Ocean, probably training somewhere hardcore as usual. And unique dancer, Tay. What is up, team? Okay, Adam thinks 8. Adam's an 8. I think I'm more likely to play it safe, says Katie. 7, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I need to monitor my risk. Okay, I think it's really important. Write that down for yourself in your notes. Right now, I feel like I am an X out of 10 for my appetite for risk. Chinyere is a 7. Sweet, sweet. Giving you my gauge, I'm probably a 9. In my all honesty, I'm a 9. I used to be maybe a 2, if that a 1. But that's because you probably see me blushing right now, being really honest with you guys. When you get really hot. But it's true. So I probably used to be a 1 back in the day when I got my first call from Coach Kofi telling me to start trading. And I was so fearful and so terrified, but obviously I had to out of kind of desperation. And now my trader's psychology and my investor psychology has not only evolved, but developed and grown because of practice. So now I can very happily say that I'm a 9. And we're going to gauge how you can measure this throughout this call, okay? And I think it's a really interesting example from one of our opportunities that we've had this week. So with all of these opportunities, we know cryptocurrency, guys, is super, super new, right? So many things are being created, technology is being innovated, the blockchain still being figured out. People and companies and organizations are understanding how they can, progress the innovation that we have and make the most of these online markets and spaces to the best of their ability. So there are always tech mishaps. There are ups and downs, there are issues, and then there are resolutions, right? This happens all the time across so many different organizations, companies, and networks. And in one of our investment opportunities that some of us are in and not everybody is in yet across trade creatives because, higher risk and different leverage and that sort of thing. There's just been a few tech mishaps, which is fine because the company is currently doing like a transition onto the cloud and whatever. Cute. Okay, whatever. But what I have really enjoyed witnessing and watching is people's reactions. So we all know that investing is about risk. So I want to ask you now, what does risk mean to you? What does risk mean to you? I think that's a really super important question that you ask yourself. What does risk mean for you? Because in this other opportunity, for example, sorry team, classic, I'm in my family home and the Wi-Fi sucks, but we're back. So we were talking about what does risk mean to you specifically? Because in this other opportunity, the system was simply down for maintenance. They were sorting out, migration over, and people in the States are now being paid what they're due, blah, blah, blah. And the amount of impatience and desperation and fear that arose within the group chats. We love a group chat to keep everybody in the loop, but it's so interesting to see the reactions. But that's because as a witness, and maybe some of you who are in those groups can witness those who do not have an appetite for risk. They've convinced themselves that they are an investor, but are still not maintaining the practice of investing. So Gemma says, controlling myself and self-discipline. Chinyere says, daring to step out of your comfort zone, but being okay with what you are risking. Katie says, and suddenly we witness those negative energies become contagious. Absolutely. Negative energy is very, very contagious. Yes or yes? As soon as one person says, oh, this is so boring or such a long day, any kind of negative energy, it festers and is very easily transmittable. Very contagious. It's hard to maintain a positive energy in life. It's hard to maintain positivity throughout your day and to be excited and energized for the next thing that you have coming for you. So as soon as there's something negative that happens, maybe you miss your train, or maybe you get the wrong milk put into your coffee, very quickly, the negativity comes in like a virus, right? So I think it's so interesting to see how negativity can disrupt cultures within the investment space. And that is purely because of people's risk appetite. They have not mitigated where they are at as an investor. So when we're talking about, so thank you for sharing what risk means for you. Yes, it means stepping out of your comfort zone. Understanding what you're putting out there. There's risk with everything, right? Buying a house, which is certainly what I did, and you guys saw the complete risk factor. I bought a property and then was made redundant and couldn't actually afford it. That was the biggest risk actually realized, guys. But then having a baby when you're not ready is pretty risky. Getting married is pretty risky. Getting in your car every day is pretty risky, right? But when we're talking about talking about fiscal risk now, from a financial standpoint, it is when that there is a kind of a degree of uncertainty in regards to losses or profits. a degree of uncertainty in regards to losses or profits. So this is why with every investment opportunity that we do, whether that's day trading, whether that's cryptocurrency buying, whether that's stocks and shares, it should always be money that you are happy to lose, because the word risk means that results are not certain. Once you put it into a space, it is no longer yours. We have to think of that money as it no longer belongs to us. If something great comes out of it, great. If it doesn't, we are not pressed. You have to think of it in that regard. Even though we take very good care of our day trading accounts from our traders out there, we take good care of our growth, but also at the same time, you should be able to accidentally not put a stop loss, for example, lose everything and still be like, huh, okay. Which sounds kind of crazy, but if you know in your heart of hearts that you would be crying, then something's not right. Because once you put it into a space of investment, you have to think of that money as no longer being yours. And that is the ultimate investor psychology. Investing is risky business, and risk is everything when it comes to how much you can leverage, for example. You can take on more risk, which means you can have more reward. But that increased risk has to be comfortable enough for you. So it's knowing what your boundaries are. And there's no right way to do it. There are loads of different gurus and Pinterest infographics and so many things that you can look at to try and figure out what your appetite for risk is. But you'll never know until you start practicing yourself, which is why we say that the art of investing, it just goes so well with us as creatives, because we risk a lot. We risk a lot of money going into our craft for not much financial return. We put a lot of time, we put years into our dancing, into our making, for what half the time? Not much payment, right? So we're already quite used to risk. So this should be very easy for us. But for those who are so used to being paid cash in hand at the end of the month with that financial bump of a job, they are bringing the job mindset, the employee mindset into investing. And that is one quick way to ruin your investment journey. If you don't like crying, don't bring the employee mindset into investing. Ocean says the word risk used to mean something that was dangerous or fearful. To me now, understanding and developing in my trading journey, I've realized that risk comes with reward and vice versa. And it's such a beautiful journey. Putting yourself into a place of risk, and I say comfortable risk because it's my responsibility to ensure that nobody over leverages themselves on here. Make sure you can afford your bills and your food. But outside of that, if you can afford your avocados and the roof over your head, then risking what you have is such a beautiful journey because it tells you who you are. Gemma says, this is what me and Princess were talking about the other day on the motivation March sessions or the mindset March sessions. I'm glad I'm thinking the right way. I'm so glad you are too. And you can see during the start of your trading journey, or your investment journey, should I say, you become a very different person along the way. You become a very different person along the way. Who here can say on their heart of hearts that they know that they have grown as a person through stepping into investor shoes? Who knows that they have grown as a person? Maybe their patience has gone up. Maybe you're able to schedule your time better. Maybe you're able to plan better for the future, or you just have stronger vision for your future. If you know that you have changed because of investing and it's turned you into a better person, then just throw it into the chat, because I believe that investing reveals who you truly are. And if you are to be successful, inherently makes you a better person. And that's just facts. Katie says, if you are risk averse, it can be a relief knowing that money comes back around. Always, I've lived it. Money will always come back around. And we say, guys, money is like water. It should be coming and going. Stagnant water makes you sick. You cannot drink stagnant water, which is why people have been holding money in their banks. And now we have inflation and we have increased taxes. Another one, thank you. Those things are making your money stagnant and can make you sick, which is why people are now being outpriced for the houses they wanted to buy maybe 2 years ago, right? Chantal, you changed a lot in such a short space of time. We are all so, so proud of you. It's impossible to not grow when you put yourself in totally new situations and challenges. It's so true. It is so true. And there's different types of risks as well. There are different types of risks. And those of us on this call, we are engaging in different types of risks. If you're in the process of developing your asset portfolio, some things you're going to have more control over than others. We have more kind of volatility risk. So with our day trading community, when we're buying crypto just for our personal wallets, that's what we call volatility risk. We have a lot less control. Yes, we can get some nice sniper entries. We can watch the charts and have our alerts set, but ultimately, once you're in, it's out of our control. So actually, here we go. Where are my day traders at? We do have our day traders here. What advice can you give for our other Trade Creators members that have taken on maybe more liquidity risk? And we'll go into that in a minute. But what advice can you give regarding what you've learned from volatility risk? From that volatility risk that you've been experiencing day in and day out. And I know that every single person who's day traded with me has learned discipline and confidence. Don't take toowoomba. I think that's a new fantastic word. Maybe that's too many trades. Don't take too many trades at once. Be picky. Yes. Trust the process. Patience. Personally, Maya, I prefer toowoomba. It's our new favorite TC word. Follow the rules. Absolutely. Volatility risk is a very, very different ballgame. That is why they say that 90% of traders fail. And I didn't say they say, that's facts. They do, 90% of traders do fail. Because volatility risk is a lot, but it shifts you completely, which is why when we take on liquidity risk, like we see in our hyperverse, or we see with our PLCU, congratulations to everyone who started that recently. Liquidity risk is when you have less liquidity with that investment. Okay, so very similar, for example, to a house. Okay, so you buy a property, you can't actually remove any of that capital for a long time because it's going to take a year to get the house on the market, find somebody to buy it, and the whole process transacts. Does that make sense? So there's a lack of liquidity there. It's a tangible asset, but there's no liquidity. So these long-term positions and smart contracts that we're engaging in to take advantage of the blockchain, that is called liquidity risk. Totally different, but that's more of a patience and waiting game. And then my question to you is, because all of this stuff is so new, when shit hits the fan, do you think you could shrug it off and say, okay, what's next? If the answer is no, then you have a big problem. Okay, we're not anticipating this to happen. Everyone's biggest fear is what happens if they just here today, gone tomorrow. Okay, I did that and I missed out on a whole years of rebuys. So we're not doing that. We're not bringing that energy. Everyone, don't be like Jessica. Okay, we're not anticipating this to happen, but how would you react if it did happen? How would you react if one of our amazing companies was gone tomorrow? Like really? Would you blow up a group chat with anger and rage? Or maybe would you cry? Even though maybe you broke even, so actually you got your initial return anyway, and you just missed out on unrealized potential. Have a think to yourself, or maybe write down in your journal now, how would I actually react if that opportunity was gone? Because I know for a fact, and some of you guys know what I'm earning a day, and it's not as much as our Uncle Des, okay? Who, by the way, had his Land Rover stolen off of his driveway this morning. And his response was, I'm grateful. Because somebody was so desperate that they felt the need to steal that car. You know? Chantal says, I'd be bummed out, but would be okay. Because what can you do? We get on with it, you know? And within our community, there's something so beautiful that we have, which I've been able to witness is not present in other communities. In our trade creatives community, and I think because we are arty-farty, we are fluffy, and we love doing our thing that just brings us joy. We're not here out of desperation, I'm hoping, not anymore, but we're here for a very different reason. We're here to pursue the thing that brings us joy. We're not here for kind of those just, I suppose, more financial, I don't want to say selfish needs, but do you know what I mean? It's just a bit different, right? Our why is a little bit different here. Our culture that we've accumulated and cultivated together is of positivity, is of gratitude and calm. And I think that even though we may be artists and we often may be overlooked in society, in our economic society, here in TC, we are sophisticated in our approach. Because if we develop our investment psychology enough, we know that we can diversify our asset portfolio. So if one thing fails, then we remain calm because we've got loads of other things that we're investing in that are bringing us income. And we know to be gracious and grateful for, okay, we had this opportunity. Some people in the world can't even afford phones. So let's move on to the next thing. What's next? Katie says, he literally was like, oh man, I love that one. But we move on to the next. It's true. He was like, I love that car. On to the next one. Right? And that's the mentality we need to have. And that's because the appetite for risk needs to change. So if you've written down in your notes that you know that your appetite for risk needs some developing, then let's get working on that. I'm going to blitz through the rest of my notes before 9 o'clock. You know, and one of those things, because the last thing that we want is concentration risk. We spoke about volatility risk, we spoke about liquidity risk. The last thing we want is concentration risk. I'm sure you guys all know this one, investing in one company or space, otherwise known as all of your eggs in one basket, which is why some of you might cry if, God forbid, something were to disappear. I keep saying, God forbid, everyone just touch wood, okay? Everyone just touch wood, just for the positive vibes. But this is why we do not go deep in one project. We go wide and not deep, because if you're juggling 10 balls and you drop 2, you still got 8 balls there going. So you need a strategy. What are your 10 balls going to be? People say 7 streams of income to be a millionaire. I disagree. I want 7 streams of passive income on top of those other 7, because then that means you are totally rest assured, but you need a strategy. So my question to you is, do you know your net worth? And do you know what percentages your investments are going towards? What percentage is in crypto? What percentage is in shares? What percentage is in physical investments? Some of you guys know that I'm using my Hyperverse rewards not only to pay for people and staff and dancers and space and blah, 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 and a car, but I'm also looking to, get a coffee van because I want my money to go into physical assets. There isn't a right or wrong for having an investment strategy, but the point is to just start and having that investor's clarity that you all are building and that you all deserve to have. I'm still very much learning. You guys know that whatever Des does, I do. He's like, physical assets, physical assets. I was like, okay, I have a house, but we need another house. So if you don't have a house yet, think about property, or think about having an additional property that brings you another income. Don't just be receiving rewards from your PLCU, your HV, you get some nice purple zones as well. So you've had a healthy month, but actually you're just enjoying on the willy-nilly, and actually you haven't reinvested with a plan. Because things will evolve as you grow, your priorities will change, your risk profile will, and should change over time. Some of you may have dependents, some of you may have kids, some of you might want to be thinking about kids. Your priorities are going to change. But if you don't have a clear vision of where you are right now with your net worth and your percentages, and how you're going to have to reallocate your investment portfolio, then the investor mindset isn't there. You'll have a lower appetite for risk, right? So if you don't have my Know Your Net Worth spreadsheet, oh God, hang on, I should really have prepped this. Know Your Net Worth. I created a spreadsheet so that you can actually document your total assets across everything that you have. If you follow the first page, the welcome page, it shows you how to make your own copy so you can have your own version. And it's quite fun to do every month to check in on where you're at with your investments. Let me just throw it into the group chat here. Okay, know your net worth and know your percentages. Think about if you want 20% of your investment allocation to go into crypto and 50% to go into stocks, like whatever it is for you, plan that out, do some diagrams or practice on a spreadsheet, which is what I do constantly. I don't hang out on Instagram. I'm always making spreadsheets about money, but just because I want to be sure that I have a very clear plan. Do you have an exit strategy for some of your investments that you're in? So that if anything were to ever happen, you know that your appetite for risk is satiated and that you can move graciously with calm and confidence and be able to maintain the culture that we all have here. Because it would be quite sad, for example, if we were to have a group chat and there were technical issues, there's an update, we can't log in, whatever it is, and somebody's bringing negativity down into the chat. We need to be able to protect our house and protect the culture and protect all of our newbie investors and really lead from the front with your own investor mindset. The reason why I never freak out about anything is because I've never seen Des freak out about anything. I've never seen Kofi freak out about anything. And by default, that is how we have to move. But it's a skill that they've been able to practice. And it's a skill that we are going to be practicing together. So what I want you to do this week or tomorrow, maybe with your coffee in the morning, is that look at your digital assets and create a plan for yourself, know your percentages, know your net worth, and create a plan to make something physical, at least one tangible physical asset within your investment portfolio. Get another property, invest in like a physical business, have a plan about how you can make one of your investments in your portfolio physical. So then that way, that will increase your appetite for risk so that you can always be developing your investment psychology. Okay, everybody? It is 9:02. Just throw some 8s in the chat if you got value from this session. I really enjoyed like writing this one up, but I feel like it's almost like reinstated it for myself as well. That's why I always really love these calls. Amazing, amazing. So for our Hyperverse community, we do have an amazing call with Des, who has just hit 8-figure income status. Can you imagine? Car stolen and just hit 8 figures. His net worth is currently 10 million. Can you imagine? And guys, he's done that in the space of 3 years. And when I first met him, he was a teacher when I started my trading journey. For some of us, we're only 8 months into our Hyperverse journey. And we've got some amazing other opportunities that will always be coming our way. I will always be doing my due diligence and bringing the best for what I can to you guys. But we always want to make sure that we're learning from the best. Okay, so he is giving a training on how to maximize your accelerated rewards. So for any of our builders on here, if you want to get some of your Hyperverse rewards faster, then I am going to drop the link. Let me do it in here right now as well, because some of you guys are in different group chats. I am also sorting out the Discord. So the Discord is now becoming a little bit more of a sexy space for us to hang out. If you're not connected on the Discord, please message me for the private link. But here is the link to Des's Zoom call, and I'll be jumping on right now as well. Hopefully I'll be hitting V2 in the next couple of weeks, which is really exciting. But I cannot hit V2 without helping some of you. So let's use this energy. Let's practice our investor mindset and have an amazing rest of this week. Breakfast Club is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as normal. Oh, wait, but not Wednesday because maybe someone else can cover on Wednesday. I've got a stunt training day. We'll figure it out, but we'll keep each other in the loop. Okay, everybody? Have a lovely evening. So good to see you. And I will see you guys on Dez's Hyperverse call right now. Big love, everybody. See you later. Goodbye, Desi. So good to see you, Adam, on the call. Bye, Becky and James and Jai. Good to see you. What up? Maya, Ocean, and Tay. Love you all. Let's get it. Arigatou gozaimasu.